Hello everybody, today we are going to talk about the European crisis, which was triggered by the financial global crisis in the United States. I'm Juliana Murillo and my partners are Artur Rubiano, Daniela Moreno, Alejandra Melo and Pauline Betancourt.
Hey, what's the deal with this European crisis?
You remember the American banking crisis?
Yes.
Same shenanigans, different continent.
You mean some idiot borrowed too much, some fool loaned it to them, and now some sucker has to bail everyone out?
Yes, with the idiot being the governments, the fools being the banks, and the sucker being the taxpayer.
The European sovereign debt crisis has resulted from a combination of complex factors, including the globalization of finance, easy credit conditions during the crisis period that encourage high-risk lending and borrowing practices, international trade imbalances, real estate bubbles that have since burst, slow economic growth in 2008, and thereafter fiscal policy choices related to government revenues and expenses, particularly high entitlement spending and approaches used by nations to bail out troubled banking, industries and private bondholders assuming private debt burdens or socializing losses. The causes are related to four principal branches. The first one is the rising government debt levels. Since 1992, members of the European Union signed the Maastricht Treaty, in which they committed to limit the public deficit levels and the debt levels. But some countries, such as Greece and Italy, were able to cover the debt deficit and to pass out their treaty rules using some complex financial instruments that were designed by major investment banks of the United States. They received large commissions and low credit risk themselves. The rise in the debt levels was provided by the large rescue packages that saved the financial institutions during the 2008 financial crisis and the coming relapse. The other three principal ones are trade imbalances, monetary policy inflexibility, and the loss of confidence.
The evolution of the European debt crisis.
In February of 2010, there was a Greece's austerity program. The Greek government took some measures like spending cuts and tax revenue. In the same month, the Spanish government got a 6.9 billion bond that was well received by investors as a loan warranting plans. Greece's financial instability began to spread to private sector, so the government announces a new austerity plan. The government decided to cut civil service salaries and to raise Greece's sales tax by 2 percentage points. In March, Greece received some cash with a new bond issue.
Portugal government announced new budget cuts, a privatization plan and tax increases on hiking costs. On top of that, the people started protesting. Around 50,000 people took to the streets to protest the government austerity. Finance minister from the Eurozone agreed that Greece could take 3-year loans from other members of the currency bloc at an interest rate of close to 5%. In May 2nd, Greece reached a historic deal with other Eurozone countries and the IMF for a huge bailout.
In April, there were more austerity plans, like an agreement of Greece with the International Monetary Fund and the European Union to take additional austerity measures as a precondition for financial assistance. During a long time, the Greek government had a big debt and uncontrolled public spending. Greece had cooked its books and faced unsustainable debts. Members of the European Union have been through successive rounds of wrangling that led to a series of progressively aid packages. So, the European Central Bank responds by buying large amounts of Italian and Spanish bonds.
Official figures released in August 2011 showed that quarterly growth in the Eurozone fell to its lowest rate in 2 years. Germany, the continent's powerhouse, slowed almost to a standstill. Most of Europe's main stock indexes lost ground after the data suggested that the debt and economic problems in countries like Greece and Italy were affecting the rest of the 70-country Eurozone.
Also, in September, Greece pushed through a wholly unpopular property tax increase as part of a new austerity package, needed to keep installments of the first bailout package flowing. And the Eurozone's members crept through the process of signing of the July agreement, with crucial votes in favor coming from Germany and Finland, which had tried to block the unless it got higher levels of collateral on its contribution.
Under the fretful gaze of investors, the Mandarin approval process has revealed even more features, layers of decision-making and complexity in Europe that adds up to worrisome inability to react quickly and decisively to upheaval in fast-moving financial markets.
Key points of Greece crisis. The good economy and the low interest rates impulse the growth of risk, mortgage, and the associated financial products. Burst of the housing bubble, increase of defaults and decrease of wheeling prices. Fall of financial products linked to the mortgage. The lack of liquidity and the mistruths make fewer loans begin granted. This slows the economy and employment begins to grow. Consequence: increase in layoffs, decrease employment. There are cuts in important sectors such as security, research, and education. Despite low gas prices, decreased auto sales, limited to offers and balances of the various markets. This decrease achieves in factories to pay less labor. Our activities previously generated little interest as the basis of chlorines, of tailoring and electrical and mechanical arrangement.
There are many holes in the world. Holes in the ocean layer, holes in teeth, and black holes out in space. But from time to time there are also holes in the state budget, wide like a crater. Such a crater currently gapes in the Greek national budget. The crater has become rather big, and other countries have to watch their step if they don't want to fall into it as well. Especially countries who are not performing strongly finance-wise are in danger of slipping. Currently, all Euro countries are trying to fill the big fat Greek crater. They are doing this because if one Euro country was to declare bankruptcy, that would have serious repercussions for the other euro countries, for they all maintain economic relations with each other. In order to fill the huge crater, 5 measures have been taken. The first 3 were devised by the euro countries. The 4th is carried out by the European Central Bank. The 5th is under the supervision of the Greek government itself. So, here we go. Number 1 is a bailout package for Greece amounting to over 110 billion euro, which was strung together by the euro countries in 2010. Because this package was swallowed whole by the gaping crater, more measures needed to be taken. A so-called parachute amounting to about 7 times the size of the rescue package was created, not only for the Greeks, but also for other countries who are showing signs of financial weakness. The money making up this parachute, just like the money used to create the bailout package, will have to be paid back. A state can only use the parachute if it promises to act more responsible financial-wise in the future. The parachute is a short-term measure that will cease to exist in 2013. After that, a European stabilization mechanism is to take effect. This mechanism will be made up of a huge pot of money. In total, the European countries will throw in 80 billion euro and promise to fill the pot with another 420 billion that can be lent to a country in crisis. As with the bailout package, the money is a loan, not a gift. In addition to this, the European Central Bank is lending a lot of money to the Greeks, because private banks are very reluctant to give any more money to Greece. This measure runs against the basic principles of the European Central Bank, but is nonetheless carried out, because the Greek crater is very huge and exceptional. Measure number 5 is carried out by the Greek government itself. Life ain't no pony farm, and you have to stand up for your own problems. This is why the Greek government has devised a savings package. But the Greeks are protesting against this package because they don't see why they should have to pay for the mismanagement of their political class. Also, Greece will have to privatize, meaning that the Greek government will sell shares of its state businesses, for example, its postal service. So, the bailout package, the parachute, the European stabilization mechanism, credits from the European Central Bank and financial cuts by the Greek government are supposed to fill the big fat Greek crater. But, believe it or not, even after these measures, the crater is still not filled. In the newspaper we read of controversies about a possible measure number 6, for example, Eurobonds. The design of such measures is hotly debated, and opinions differ widely on this point. Some would like to see Greece safe by all means, whereas others suspect that the crater will only increase in size. So why not have Greece declare bankruptcy sooner rather than later? The worrisome story is thus not at its end. The Greek crater might be joined by others after all.
What we can see through this crisis is that many economic disasters can be avoided with just a proper and a transparent management of the finances of a country, as the main cause of this disaster was the excessive waste of money and covering up mismanagement and making up governmental movements.
Very much.
Oh, thank you.
Don't start!
Oh, sorry.